All right, I'm going to call the Somerset School Board Business Meeting to order at 7 o'clock. Michelle, can you do roll call,
Yes.
please?
Nancy Russell.
Here.
Brian Moulton.
Here.
Marie Colbeck.
Here.
Bob Gunther.
Here.
Courtney Kirkowski.
Here.
Katie Thermos. And Patty Shelton.
Here.
Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
District Commission. Developing learners, empowering futures, doing this together. District's vision. Have a career community, bridging learners with their passion and pathways. Item D is our statement of core strategies. And is our enhanced learning, advanced services and operations, engage community through partnerships, cultivate professional growth and leadership. Item E is the protocol reminders, so board members want to review those quickly. And that's good enough. We'll go down to item F. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda, please? Thanks, Patty. Thanks, Maria. Any questions on the agenda? Any changes? Additions? Okay. All in favor of approving the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Now to section 2, general reports. Superintendent.
There are just a few quick things here, and then whatever questions you have about things I don't mention. We did shoot out the information on the plan strip, there's some more details with that. They can take a look at it if they have any questions. I think you can filter those either through me or they can go right over to high school to Chris and he can get the information there. Spent quite a bit of time the last few weeks finishing up these listening sessions that I've had at each building with the staff and kind of collating some of that data, and I'll be bringing that forward to you to take a look at, and which really gave me a picture of a little more in depth what's happening out in the buildings right now. Strategic plan wise, I think Nancy and Patty, maybe you guys want to comment on the session we had the other day. I was going to try and get some kids in here. But maybe you guys want to comment on the process and thoughts?
I thought it went really well. It was really good to hear the community members, but I was really most impressed by what the students, what they had to say. They were very thoughtful, very wise comments and to listen to. And after all, they're our products.
Mm-hmm.
So it was, I think it was good for everybody to hear and to, even though we may think that we have skin in the game in planning and all this here, by opening up and bringing in community members and students, really gave a perspective that we needed. So I really liked it.
I'd just like to compliment the planning team and people who reached out to different parents and community members to invite them in, because there was a really nice broad perspective and balance of people who've been a part of the community for 60 years to people who've been here for 4 months. And people who have children in the system and people who have a vested interest more so in the community. And I just thought it was a really diverse group. That was a nice section of our community that we can feel very confident in the work that came out of that.
I think we started right around 11:30, 12 o'clock, and went. I think that time we got out of there must have been around 7:30 or so that night. And it's not easy work. A lot of wordsmithing and recognizing the work the group did last spring. To we hope we would get a little further, but it's a process. And when you work by consensus, where everybody leaves that room saying, "I can support this publicly and privately," that takes a lot of time and effort there. And I did send out the core values. Now, again, this will come at a later date to the board. I think after our next session, where we'll work on wordsmithing the the mission, vision into one statement. I think at that point, after that next day, we'll have enough to come to the board and say, here's the direction that would be, hope you approve. And if you haven't seen the core values, what the group came up with is 7 core values. We believe each and every person is capable of success. We believe in empowering all learners. We believe each and every person is accepted and valued. We believe involved communities foster strong schools. We believe lifelong learning is essential for personal growth. We believe change is our opportunity for growth. And we believe in cultivating leaders. So those are the 7 pillars that we're standing on. The strategies will develop, strategic objectives will develop to support those and the mission statement. So it was great work, as we mentioned before. The last group didn't have any students on it. I think we had 4 or 5. And they took the ball and ran with it. They weren't shy at all on sharing their opinions, which has always been my experience with that. But we had about 35 people there. We had 6 or 7 business people, and then it was just, I asked each principal to find 5 or 6 parents on there. We had staff representative, both certified and non-certified on there also. So again, it was a much broader scope of what we've had in the past. So, any other questions or comments about that?
No, I would just say, as is true of Somerset, there was a lot of passion and love for our community, support for our community in that room, and a lot of excitement to be engaged and work together to grow.
And they recognized, I hate to be the grim reaper at the beginning there, but we've got things to work on, and we have to get those out on the table so we know when we build this foundation that we're aiming in the right direction. And we always talk about the bridge and what have you, and that can be a curse or a blessing to us, depending on how not only the school district acts, but how the township and the village and chamber and all of us work together on utilizing that. So, again, stay tuned.
Well, it was also interesting that community expectations are just as high as ours. So, they're just as concerned as we are, so it's not that they're not informed. And all of them, were very, parents especially, we have great teachers. So it's, what are we doing, where do we need to go from here? So it was very clear that everyone got the same goals in mind.
So
Thanks for attending too, Patty and Nancy, appreciate it.
No
So
problem.
the next session we'll be working on strategic objectives and the mission of that, and again, just preparing for that. Say Rochelle did a lion's share of work arranging everything. We hosted up at the Lutheran Church, which was a perfect venue for this. Although being a Catholic person, I was kind of like get struck by lightning, but I was okay. My mom was rolling over in her grave, but so that's only temporary. We look at the enrollment. I'm kidding, that wasn't for public comment. Don't quote me on that one. Looking at the enrollment compared to last year at this point in time, we're up a few students. We did lose a couple to open enrollment. And I think just been spending a lot of time in the last month and a half on the strategic plan, the listening sessions that I've had and collating that data, and just personnel issues and that. So, any questions or comments or anything I didn't mention that or you think would be worthy to? Okay, that's all I have. So. Oh, I did forget to mention that I think we're gonna fire Rochelle tonight, aren't we? We're gonna fire and hire her back.
It's already 85.
I wanted 2 different motions because we'll do the first one, maybe I'll do the second one. I'm good.
All right. I guess one of those things, so.
Anyway, financial reports, I don't know if we have anything for financial reports that was
Still got money in the bank.
Agreed. Go to item C, is school board member reports. Who wants to start, or? Anything out of,
I got two things.
our work session?
Yeah. One was, I just wanna hats off to the guidance counselors at the high school for the mentor program. Had 2 meetings now, I believe? 3? And it's really good, and for any community members who have an opportunity to mentor a student, it's proven, evidence-based, that it makes a difference. Their likelihoods of getting into trouble decreases by 75% just having an adult outside of a parent or relative in their life. So it's important, and the more that we can get our adults in our community involved in mentoring our kids, the better off. All our kids will benefit from the diversity. It was interesting, the 2 students that I mentor, I'm like, so what's your big hairy goal that you talk about but you're not sure? And she's like, well, I want to be an FBI agent. And I said, well, we have a Somerset grad who ran a department in the FBI. Would you like me to, get you together? And she's like, really? Someone from Somerset? I'm like, yeah. So we're working on that. And then the other one was like, I want to be a surgeon. I'm like, well, did you know that one of the top gastroenterologists in the area is a Somerset grad? And she went, what? How come I don't know that? And I'm like, it's right down the road in Richmond, started out in medicine. So I think, our students have no idea the successes that come out of this district, and there's a lot. But it's up to us to get that news to them so that they can have them big goals and know that they're obtainable. So that is the mentor program. Hats off to everybody that's involved in that. The second thing is me and Sarah Culling are going to be presenting at the school board conference on mental health. So, and what we've done here and everything in the county. So that should be exciting for us. That's it.
That's great.
I'd like to congratulate the drama and music department. Was amazing. I know we have some parent celebrations on the board too. I told Kate, I think I've watched in like 8 different plays. And they've all been phenomenal, but the creativity with the set and all the props and the acting and the music and the dancing were all phenomenal. And I don't think our community is aware of the talent and skills that have come together in that multimedia room.
We had a live big band.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
doesn't happen. And these were professionals. They were not just anybody. I mean, and one of the high school kids got to play with them too, I think. The opportunity is phenomenal, and then to know that there are the teachers that were so involved with it, it's just fostering the kid.
The message was so
Yes.
amazing. It was such a great message. It was great.
What's a pit band?
We actually have live players, they're not recording. Live instrument.
All right.
And if you have an actual auditorium, you're down in the pit.
Yeah.
And it's on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
Your side band.
We're the same all day.
Yeah.
Is this what I do seaside?
Yes,
Or is that in the education
Well,
portion?
you can do it now or later. It's all the same.
There's quite a bit of time, Connie Erickson spoke in, the librarian position is actually, because it's state terminology, national terminology, it really should become media specialist or something along that line, but the demands that are on librarians, because that's the term they use, are really more to do with media and helping others learn how, and she really, you could see her passion, I've seen your passion. I think hats off to ours, we have some phenomenal ones, and she kind of did say you have some very good ones, strong ones at times, so there's some wonderful opportunities out there. We're fortunate to be where we are, but we can always keep improving on that. Concert Monday night after the play was great, good attendance too.
We should put some rubber stuff around the lower legs of the rails, so that they don't go clang, 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 because we had gone up to the honors choir concert, and they have the same railing. She didn't hear theirs bang, 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 like ours do, so maybe just some rubber fillers.
Probably more eloquent walkers.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Yeah, an auditorium.
Well, in the short term.
Only
Get
an
some
$8 million
rubber.
fix.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't get the heat to work in here. Or I can get it to work.
There was no complaints last week.
I wasn't here.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else we missed that happened at the high school. Or at the elementary, or middle school. So, I'm sure we'll forget something.
There was a winter concert at the middle school.
Was there?
Yes. Yeah.
Good too?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Band and players. So.
Oh, sorry, Mr. Wayland, this week, last week?
Thursday.
I did.
I don't know what day it is.
It was really good, but, just to make another shameless plug, but had we had an auditorium, it would have been so much better. You couldn't hear, when the students were talking on the microphone, you couldn't hear anything that they said. And it just, you felt bad for the kids because they were so proud and did such a good job. But our setup is so lacking that even, I mean, if you were, I'm old and I couldn't hear, so imagine if you were 20 years older than me. Right, second.
I'd be 100.
Wasn't anyone selling hearing aids outside the door after?
Because then you get all that in sound.
All those auditorium projects, ironic, I get a text message 2 minutes ago from my former board chair, they're having a grand opening of the Zimmerman Auditorium. We put on 2 auditoriums this last year, and Zimmerman is about the same height, same school, same size as Somerset is. And this auditorium is just phenomenal, what it did for their arts program. They had a cafetorium-nasium.
Like a,
Well, you had a cafetorium.
yeah, you're right.
We had a cafetorium-nasium.
The basketball.
Yep. It makes a difference
Yeah.
in your arts program.
And we do have some phenomenal
For sure.
things going on
Ready, Shelley?
Alrighty.
All right.
I have to apologize, this time I didn't have it printed out, so I'm gonna do it off the top of my head. Got some pictures for you this time again. So student council, just on Friday actually, we went to Toys for Tots. It was in Oakdale at a church. They organized it there and it's for the entire East Metro. People can sign up to come, and we worked as personal shoppers with them, all the members of student council. So we would go with a member of the family, and we would go back with them and help them pick out toys for each member of their family. It was really fun, very cool to do. Got to meet some very interesting people. It was actually very interesting. Every person that we met there who was working it had some connection to Somerset. One of the ladies lived there, one lady is from Richmond, so it was very interesting. One of the people worked in Somerset, so great representation of Somerset out there helping out. This is just some pictures of some of us. The group, this is in the toy room. They just had a giant room set up with toys, and it was marked off by age, so you just have to kind of sift through the tables, helping them find what they were looking for.
Hold on a second.
Yeah.
Sir, can you hit one of the lights?
Yes.
Thank you. There, oh, sure.
Whatever.
Thank you.
Here's just them having some fun while they were waiting. They were singing some Christmas songs. They had this huge tub full of these sunglasses. They're called sun stashes, and they had about 20 boxes of them. So they said, everyone grab one and bring them home. So we all got to take home our own little set of glasses. We got to do a little bit of babysitting as well. When people would bring in their kids, we would watch them while they would go back and shop for the presents. Next thing, the robotics team had their robotics competition. We have a very active robotics club. There was 4 teams who went into this competition. This year's challenge was they had to build a robot, and there was the challenge was you have these different, they're like stars, they kind of look like jacks. I'll show you a picture of them. And they have to try and move them to the other side in a certain time limit, and you're going to have the least amount on your side and putting them into your opponent's side. So these students work very hard. I mean, they're here till 9 o'clock at night the weeks prior to the competition. They had 4 teams participate. 3 went on to the semifinals, and 1 team advanced, or 3 went on to the quarterfinals, 1 went on to the semifinals. It was a great experience for all of them. They're learning lots about this programming, and we even have a video of them we made of the competition. You can see they use their different robots. They get to design it all on their own. These designs are all the students' designs.
Yeah, that.
We also, as you mentioned, had the musical Honk. It was a great performance. If anyone had the opportunity to go see it. It was a story, if you don't know, it was a story of a spin-off of The Ugly Duckling. As you can see, we have a lot of talented students at the high school, and even in the elementary school, there's some younger students who got to participate as well. It was a great performance. It was on December 9th, 10th, and 11th. It was great to see us utilizing our arts and drama program, and I'm really looking forward to see what they come up with in the spring. We also had the strategic planning meeting, which several students got to participate in. I talked to several students who participated, and they had a lot of positive feedback to give back from it. They loved being able to participate in this and kind of have a stake in the future of Somerset High School, and they just absolutely loved being able to express their opinions and just feel that value as a part of this district. We also, with our video announcements, we are branching out and we are moving down to the elementary school. We're going to do a special segment with elementary schoolers. We were contacted by Mrs. Hoff down at the elementary school, and we're going to shoot a segment with the elementary schoolers, probably with their Santa letters. And we're hoping to kind of move that down to the elementary school so that they can start having some monthly video announcements as well. So we're really excited about that. As well as the National Honor Society held their blood drive. They hold several of them every year. It's put on by the Somerset Honor Society, and all our slots were filled. In some cases, there was students who got turned away because we didn't have enough spots for them to give blood, but all of our spots for whole blood donations and Power Red donations were filled, which is awesome. It was my first time giving blood, and it's a very awesome experience to have. And then our winter sports are going great, as always. Basketball teams are doing well. Our cheerleading team is doing phenomenal. They've been in 2 competitions. They took first place in 1, and at the U of M competition just this last week, and they took second place. And this is their first year doing Somerset competition cheerleading, so that's super cool to see. The dance line has been participating in some competitions. They are dancing at some of our basketball games, and our hockey teams are doing well. They won games against some state-ranked teams, so that's really cool to see as well. And other things, we're looking forward to our holiday break coming up. At the high school, we did a door decorating contest, so a lot of the homerooms participated in decorating up their doors. We did a Christmas pajama day today, and we got some other ideas for dress-up days for the rest of the week, and just looking forward to the holidays.
Shelley, is this something that we can get on the website for people to look at?
Yeah, yeah. A lot of
Look at
these,
all of it. I know you went through a portion
a lot
of
of
it.
these pictures I pull from the yearbook, and I find from other people. But yeah, I can
Really great.
pass that on.
Okay, 'cause
It's
then
really neat.
whoever's watching doesn't get to see what's on.
Yeah.
And then he can't complain to me and have everybody come back. And if he's watching, he knows who exactly I'm talking about.
Thank you so much, Shelley. I really appreciate your reports.
You'd be a tough act to follow.
She's gonna train you next time.
That might be a good idea. Are you the youngest yet, or is there another one?
No, I have 3 younger ones. Yep, there's 8 of us. See, we stuck with us for a while.
Job security, keep coming.
And Bob, you know the parents' name? John and Kate.
Yeah.
Leslie.
Ah.
We should have the TV show.
Thank you. Section 3 of our meeting is open forum section. And if there's anybody in the audience that would like to share anything with us this evening, this is the opportunity to do that. I know we have some red cards. I kind of missed the boat on that, so first I'll ask if there's anybody in the audience that would like to address the board tonight.
Well, we're glad you're here just to watch us.
Sure, anybody would like to hear from you? Okay. Seconds?
Not this panel.
Okay. So being nothing, we will go down to item 4, enhancing learning. Do we have anything from?
Yeah, that's me. It is warm in here.
Oh,
Okay, so just want to talk about 2 really quick things. First of all, I want to give a shout out to Kay Bader. She is our gifted and talented teacher. Over the course of the last month, she has been taking students in our gifted and talented program to competitions in area school districts and up at CISA as well. They're called Math Masters competitions, and we are one of few school districts that doesn't actually have a Math Masters team. She just pulled some kids in our GT program and said, hey, we're gonna give it a whirl, let's see how we do. Every competition she took the kids to, we placed in top 5. We had individual students that placed even higher. And again, we are going up against competition of much bigger schools that have time dedicated throughout their day, after school on weekends, where they're really focusing with these specific teams. And we kind of just threw our hat in the ring, and the kids have been doing phenomenal. So that's something she's kind of taken on above and beyond her regular duties. It's not something she gets paid for, but we're kind of finding time during the day for her to be able to work with kids and do some of these things. So our kids have done wonderfully, and now she's excited and looking for other competitions for our kids to be able to compete in, which has been great. And something we haven't participated in for quite a while. The other thing I want to just give you an update on is last week, all of our buildings, including the Learning Center, participated in our next phase of our ALICE emergency management rollout. So every building went through kind of the L in ALICE, the lockdown with barricade. So we took what I believe to be great care in making sure that parents had communication ahead of time, so that they had an opportunity to talk with their child regarding what was going to be happening in their classrooms. You know, I gave teachers a pretty, I would say, strict guideline in terms of when I want you talking to students about this. It wasn't a surprise. You know, all the buildings and teachers and staff and many kids knew that on this day at this time, this is what we're going to practice and the why behind it. The other important piece of that is ensuring that when you're doing these drills, now that we're involving kids, that it remains age appropriate. So our elementary drills looked very different and sounded very different than our high school drills, for example. I was at the elementary and the middle school during the drills, and you know, at no point were the people that were testing our barricades, we weren't simulating that we were an intruder, we weren't pounding, banging, kicking on doors. We really just wanted teachers to be able to go through that process with students in their classroom what would it look like, what would it feel like? Some of you are gonna have more time than others to be able to get your barricade up and going. Frankly, if you were in the far end of the building, you had the most time. If you were up by the office, you had the least amount of time. And the things that I heard and saw blew my mind. Listening to teachers really support their kids, and you're over here, come over here. One classroom I tried to get into, I couldn't budge the door to save my life, and I didn't use what I would consider all force, but enough to be able to test if I'd be able to get in. I couldn't move the door, and I hear all the kids cheering when they, heard me walk away. One barricade that I tried to get into in the middle school, I could open up about this much, and I came back and told teachers that I might be testing your doors more than once, so if you feel that your door was maybe compromised the first time, get in there and try to secure it in case I come back. And that door was secured immediately. The teacher found me afterwards. Did you see the second time you couldn't get in? It's really kind of bittersweet, because this is a topic that I wish we didn't have to get excited about and cheer about the fact that an intruder couldn't get into your classroom. But after the drills, I gave each of the staff in the buildings access to a Google Doc, because I wanted feedback and questions, and what did you hear from students? What were some questions that you still have as a staff member? And some great questions that led into even better conversations about the what if. And I had a student ask me, I was caught in the hallway when it started, where do I go? If I'm caught in the bathroom, where do I go? If we shut our door and start barricading and someone's pounding on it to get in, do we open it? Those things as I've told staff from the beginning, I'm never going to be able to prepare you for each and every possible scenario, but really good dialogue in the buildings, and specifically with kids. I also had feedback from parents. I didn't get any negative feedback, but I had a lot of parents saying, here's what my child said at home. This allowed us to have this dialogue at home. Please thank the staff for taking such great care of my child. My child's a first grader and wasn't scared at all. He felt brave. You do the best you can with a really yucky topic. But the staff blew me away. They were absolutely wonderful. They followed all my directions, because I really needed this to go a certain way, knowing that now we're bringing kids into the conversation. Which is a different feeling than when it was just the adults going through some of the initial training. So kind of that next step is going to be working on doing some barricading with countering. So what happens if you barricade and someone gets through the door? What are some options that you have? That will just be middle school and high school. We don't teach our elementary kids to counter. And then when the weather gets nicer, frankly, then we'll start bringing people to evacuation, reunification, rally spots, just kind of keeping the conversation moving. So one step closer. It went awesome. Like I said, I was beyond impressed with staff and the things that I was hearing outside the doors. And any barricades that we were able to compromise, I sent a follow-up email to teachers just as an awareness piece that, had I used full force, I probably would have been able to get into your room. Let's talk about some other ways we could have tried to barricade your door. And I have someone in town over break that'll be making wedges for all the classrooms throughout campus. He'd approached me after our parent meeting, and I've kind of been waiting a little bit specifically for these drills, because I wanted staff to be able to, I had some staff test some different mechanisms, some worked, some didn't, before I had him make hundreds of wedges just to kind of figure out what's going to work in our classrooms. But it was great. Mark was caught in the bathroom here when we did the drill here.
So much for the whole caring for your fellow
Well,
employees.
that's a really good point, because when I started it in this building, I made sure we did it when no kids were in the building. JK kids didn't go through this drill, but when we started, the massive staff in there went into the safe room and started barricading, and Mark and Jackie were a little late on the draw and didn't get in the room. So
the safe room wasn't the bathroom.
Right, no.
So I won't say who, but the last person was walking in there, turned around, looked, and shut the door. I was like 3 steps from there.
Good job, Rochelle.
No, it wasn't Rochelle. I won't say who. Evaluation time is coming up.
Yeah, well,
Jackie and I looked at each other like, I guess we're sharing a bathroom.
right. One thing during this drill too, typically we have teachers ensure that their classroom doors are locked at all times during the day, and we have, there's not one here, but we have rubber bands that we keep on the doors. For this drill, I had them make sure their doors were unlocked, knowing that a locked door certainly is another layer of protection, but we were kind of simulating that if that were compromised, would you have another layer of protection with that barricade? But in this building here, one of the JK teachers, when we went through it, you know, I went through the first time and I was able to open her door, and I pushed a lot because there was no kids in there. She's like, oh my gosh, how did that happen? My husband and I came in over the weekend and we practiced, and you know, so she's like, can I do it again? I'm like, absolutely. So she kind of walked through in her head what steps she missed that she kind of figured out before, and she did it again, couldn't budge. So, like I said, really good dialogue. You know, it's not the greatest topic in the world to have to discuss, but
Right.
you know, we're keep moving forward. So, any questions?
My kids were talking more for days before it happened, which was great,
Yeah.
especially for a 7-year-old to try and prepare, and he thought he was gonna be like Mr. Tough Guy. He just totally came home and he was just like, I was completely not knowing what was gonna happen, and my daughter was the opposite, and she was probably one of the ones cheering like, yes. But it was awesome to be able to work them up to it and, you know, be involved with it, so, good communication.
Good feedback. Anything else?
A lot of good discussion, though, people are talking about it, so that's good.
Great.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Item 5 is cultivating professional growth and learning. Director and Principal's report. That's it.
Oh, I went early. Yep, that was me. Sorry.
Make her do it again.
Huh?
Make her do it again.
See if your story changes. School board member reports. If there wasn't anything we picked up or discussed earlier, it's another opportunity. I'll be repeating it. Section 6, engage the community through partnerships.
Nothing there.
Item 7, advanced services and operations. Good on that?
We're good there.
Okay. Item 8, consent agenda. Everyone wants to review the items on the consent agenda. And after that, I will take a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make the motion to approve the consent agenda.
Thanks, Marie.
I'll second it.
Thanks, Patty. Questions, comments, discussion on the consent? Michelle, I hope you enjoy your transition.
I'll just be a few doors
I know.
down.
But still be hanging around.
Do appreciate everything you've done. So, motion was made and seconded to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Item 9, general information. Any upcoming dates that we should be, work session will be January 9th instead of January 2nd at 6 o'clock, just because the 2nd is a recognized holiday. So, just for your information, that is one date to remember if you'd like to join us. Anything else on dates?
It's in a short period.
Right.
Just WASB conventions.
Yeah, it's on the 17th, I believe, Tuesday 17th.
Item 10, I'll make a motion to move in a closed session of the board pursuant to Wisconsin State Statute 19.85 5 sub 1 sub C and F for preliminary consideration of a specific matter which, if discussed in public, could have an adverse impact on the reputation of those involved. Can I get a second to move into closed session?
I'll second that.
Thanks, Maria. Take a roll call vote to move into closed session. Courtney?
Yes.
Patty? Nancy?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Marie?
Yes.
Myself, yes.